Hello, everybody, and welcome to this brand new episode of Music to Live for with Shanti. I'm your host, Shanti Perpellini, and today I'm talking with Jane Aust of the band Hamartia. Guys, I'm so excited because Hamartia always been one of my favorite bands since I'm a teenager. I'm so excited. I can waiting for start this episode with you. Let's go!
Check this out. Music to live for with Shanti.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this brand new episode of Music to Live for with Shanti. I'm your host, Shanti Pepellini, and today I'm here with one of the member of the band Hamartia. Hi, man, how you doing?
Good. How you doing? Thanks so much for having me.
Here's fine. It's kind of strange because it's August, and normally in Switzerland, August is very warm, but it seems already September. So
Oh,
it's kind
gotcha.
of strange, but we are enjoying the weather. Everything is fine. Thank you to be here on my podcast. I'm very glad that we had the chance to talk.
Yeah, you and me both. Yeah, this is great.
Nice. First things first, I'll let you introduce yourself for the audience so everybody will know who I'm talking to.
Okay, sure. Yeah, my name is Jay Aust, and I'm the guitarist of Hamartia. I've been in a couple other bands. I'm the guitarist of With Honor, singer of Ambitions, and what else? A couple other bands too along the way. So a band called Unforgiven and No Cure and a couple others. But yeah, I guess With Honor, Hamartia, and Ambitions are probably the three main ones that I've been doing over the years. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's interesting for me because I need to clarify this to the audience too. I'm gonna talk I'm gonna tell about how I get into your band, but the fact that
hmm
also you are telling more is kind of surprise for me because, for example, I've been also a fan of With Honor and everything, but I never,
Oh,
you don't
cool.
connect the dots in between band members or people playing the same bands, and it's always fascinating because maybe sometimes you a part of you recognize that there is this style of this way of making music that there is a reason why you like that specific band or that sound. So, oh, that's a lot of news, a lot of information, and
Yeah, it's like a big family tree. You got people in all
yeah.
different bands, and some of those bands, Hamartia sounds very different from With Honor.
Mhm.
So, you could maybe see the connections when you know it or whatever. But yeah, they're definitely different sounds. So, yeah.
Yes. So, Amartya, I have in my hands a copy of this album. It's funny because I always wanted to get one, and two of my friends, knowing that I'm a big fan of this album, in the last, I guess, one I received it one when I turned 30, and the other one when I turned 35. They say, Shanti, now it's time for you to get your copies, and they gave me both. So I own two copies of the album.
Oh, cool.
There is a very, very personal story that I want to share with you. I
Sure.
remember riding bicycles with some friends, and I was a teenager. I guess I was 16 or something like this.
hmm
And there is these friends of mine coming in, and it's a friend of mine that introduced me in so many things related to hardcore music. He gave me the first listen to Converge, Jane Doe, and when I listened to Concubine for the first time, things just changed in my mind because
Oh, yeah.
uh, I never heard death metal or heavy stuff. And for me, this
hmm
chaos of sounds, but still so attractive, was such a kind of experience, really an experience. And then introduced me some German bands like Caliban, Morda from Belgium, and then Poison the Well. I mean, Tears from
hmm
the Red, stuff like that. And then he gave me this album, and at that time, I was very, very into pop punk or Americana from Offspring were already one of the album I was
hmm
already listened to, and I don't know, Use for a Name, stuff like that. But and as I said, this was my introduction to our music, and I really liked the guitar playing. I wasn't used to the screaming. The
hmm
appreciation of screaming came just later on. But I always
Yeah.
loved this kind of melody, and then the name of the band. I think at that time there was kind of even in many European band this background about talking. I don't know, choosing name coming from mythologies or like texts that were very very profound. Like more philosophical, a lot of emotional driven hardcore and stuff like that. And I think this is very very interesting. And yeah, so I started listening to this album, and it's stuck inside of me. I mean, the first song, I mean, Maro, the
Mm.
intros, and then the start screaming. But my favorite part is the switching between the second song and Too Hard to Find, where you got this
Ah,
clean guitar with delay that already played the
yeah,
main melody. I mean, this is the thing. This really changed a lot of me. So this is how I get into your band, and being able today to be here with you and talk about you because you are starting playing this album again and releasing you reprinted also you did also vinyl. We can talk about that later on in the podcast, but
hmm,
it was for me like oh, that's something cool. That's something it brings me, really emotions. And then I said,
yeah,
I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try to contact you, guy. I really want to have you as a guest, and here we are. So thank you again.
yeah.
This is how I get into a Martian, and now I let you tell me a little bit more about how this project was born. And of course, one of my favorite things is to understand how did you get to choose this name for this band.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so we actually went through a couple different iterations of the band name. Um, I guess to kind of go back to what you were saying before, you always have memories associated with how you got into things and whatever. And my brother's the other guitarist of the band, Jeff. So he's responsible for that intro you're talking about to So Hard to Find. That's his guitar playing there. So
Nice.
yeah, he did a really cool thing with that. But we grew up in a very small kind of town here, which I'm actually in right now. I'm in my office here in Farmington, Connecticut. So there wasn't a lot of hardcore from this particular town. Like I think we had one vegan straight edge kid in my class,
Hmm.
and then my brother actually got into hardcore a little before I did. So I kind of got in, like I got in through pop punk a little bit in the beginning. Well, in the beginning I was into like the '80s, hair metal, Motley Crue, Rad, all that kind of stuff. Got into grunge, Nirvana, and all that. And then I kind of went into pop punk, like you said. Like I love No Use for a Name. Face to Face is actually my favorite pop punk band. So yeah, so got into a lot of the pop punk, um, and then kind of got into some heavier stuff from there, like some new metal and stuff like that. But yeah, so I guess the point is that me and my brother, kind of got into some bands together with people in the area. That's how we got into hardcore, through like mixtapes and people sharing, hardcore. Back then, there was no internet, so it was basically, in the '90s. I got in mid to late '90s, so it was a lot of it was just word of mouth and just mixtapes and
Hmm.
people passing CDs around. So like you, I've got CDs that kind of changed my life, right? So it's like I remember certain things that were touchstones for me. Um, but yeah, so we played in a couple bands before Hamartia. The first band me and my brother were in, was called Fall Away. We played a couple shows, that kind of morphed into Crestfallen. Both of those were with my high school buddy Vin, who's the singer of Hamartia. So he was in those bands as well. And then we kind of started sort of a more metal side project. So those were a little more maybe old school hardcore, maybe kind of had like a Shia Lude type of influence. Um, and then we started getting a little more into metal. So for me, I remember reading there was an article in I forgot which magazine it was. It was, Metal Zone or one of those magazines. And it was the review of In Flames Colony, the album. And it said melodic death metal. And I was like, melodic death metal? That doesn't even make sense to me. I was like, but how could it be melodic and be death metal?
That's
So
it.
I
Yeah.
remember, yeah. So I didn't get it. So I went to a place, I believe it was called Phoenix Records in Waterbury, Connecticut over here. It was like our record shop. And I picked up a copy and I remember we popped that CD in and we were just blown away. We're like, wow, the melodies and, the screaming, but it was so emotional and raw. So we kind of started leaning a little more metal and we started a metal kind of side project, which was originally called Covenant. Then we
Hmm.
found out there was another band called Covenant. So we did a silent H. So it was Covenant, like Covenahnt or something.
Yeah.
We had a different lineup, and eventually we kind of swung around, and we recruited my buddy Vin back in. Um, and we ended up getting Mark, who was in a band called Piecemeal. He's the drummer of Hamartia. He was in a band called Piecemeal that we were all big fans of. So we got Mark in the band, and then he brought in at the time Slim B, and both of them went on to bury your dead later.
Hmm.
And a couple of us went on with honor. So again, big family tree
Yeah,
of bands
I
here.
really
But
wanted to also to
yeah,
ask you because somebody told me about, hey, they're related to bury your dad, and everything. I said, oh my God, even that too. No, this was too
yeah, it's
much.
just
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's just everything's connected, But so that's kind of how the band formed. It was us kind of going from more old school or melodic hardcore to kind of leaning more metal. And as far as choosing the name, like I said, we had a couple other band names that led up to it. And Hamartia means I believe it's Greek for tragic flaw.
Hmm.
So it kind of had like an emotional resonance with us, and yeah, that's kind of how we came up with it. And a lot of bands kind of had names sort of like that, to your point, around that time. Like there's a lot of bands that kind of had that vibe going on, and yeah, so that's kind of the genesis of the band.
Hmm. Hmm. And when you released that album, then you had the chance to play it a lot through the States, or it was something because honestly, living in Europe, you see that there is not another reality. And
Mhm.
as you said, this is a sound not many people know you. I mean, from when I
Mhm.
asked, "Oh, have you heard that band?" One of my favorites is kind of, "Oh, no, I don't know," but it would be nice to hear too. But I was interested
Mhm.
when you released that record. As what was the appreciation of the audience?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question because we that album actually came up after we broke up.
Okay.
So yeah, while we were active, we didn't do a lot of stuff back then. Like we did, but it was mostly
Hmm.
local. So we were from, me and my brother and Vin were from Connecticut,
Hmm.
and Mark at the time, I believe, was living in Providence, Rhode Island, and Slim B was living in Cape Cod. So we were all a little bit spread out, like within a couple hours of each other.
Hmm.
So we were from, a couple different states. But at the time, I would say Hamartia was the first kind of serious band that I did. So it was the
Hmm.
first band that we had that ended up on a label. We're on Good Life Recordings. But at the time that we were active, our first demo was a 4-track demo that one of our buddies here in Farmington named JP recorded for us. So we did it, I believe, in his basement. It was just a 4-track
Hmm.
recording. And it's funny, I think I told you, we just actually reproduced that demo for the Connecticut show that we just played the other day.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I told you I had a copy. So we found the old demo. This is the 4-track demo, and I believe it was the first thing we released. And it had a song called Banshee, which is on the full length, was the only
Hmm.
one that was repeated. Um, and then a song called Murder Weapon and a song called Paper Mache. So those are the initial 3 songs that we put out. And then we did another demo, a little more legit. We actually, I believe we self-funded it. So we paid for it. We
Hmm.
went in with Adam D from Killswitch Engage. And he had a studio he was working at called Zing Studios up in Massachusetts, fairly close to us. So we went in with Adam D from Killswitch kind of when they were just starting out.
Okay.
So in the beginning of Hamartia, we actually were lucky enough to play a couple shows with Killswitch
Hmm.
back when they were a 4-piece. So Adam was on drums. They only had one guitar. So we played a few shows with them. I think we played in Boston and New Jersey are 2 that come to mind. But again, a lot of exciting things happening around then. So we did the second demo that had In the Arms of, Fading Aura, and Morning Glory. And that was like our first proper recording.
Hmm.
And we released that as like our second demo. So these are all basically just demo tapes. And we were kind of weekend warriors. Like we would just practice either in Connecticut or in Rhode Island. There was a band around back then called As the Sun Sets.
Hmm.
And we used to share a practice space with them in Rhode Island and Providence, sometimes. And then we had another practice space in Connecticut. Um, but we would just play. We played a ton of Connecticut, randomly a lot of New Hampshire, Maine, probably Vermont. Um, and that was mostly it. Providence, but we just played a lot of the Northeast U.S. Like we would just be playing every weekend somewhere in the Northeast U.S., just grabbing any show we could. And when we were active, we only had one tour, and it wasn't like a big tour. It was just us cobbling together this tour. Like, okay, we want to go out for a week. Let's rent a
Hmm.
cargo van, and it was the first tour that I had ever done. And I believe my brother and Vin, it was all of our first tour. I think Slim B and Mark had done stuff before,
Hmm.
but we'd mostly just done local kind of stuff. So yeah, when we were active, we basically just played a lot of Northeast shows, and we did
Okay.
one tour down to Florida and back.
Oh.
I think we played with in Florida. We played Pompano Beach. We played with, I think it was Glass Eater and this band called Destro. We played a couple shows with this band, Age of Ruin, that was around back then. But yeah, it was just, emailing people, just trying to find connections to cobble
Hmm.
together this tour that we could do. And we
Yeah.
were in a cargo van, so we just piled all the gear in the back and, no seats back there. So people are sleeping on the cabs or we're on the
Oh,
floor or
yeah,
whatever
really
they want.
wild ride.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it
Okay.
was just and selling demo tapes that we would make ourselves. So we eventually sent out like press kits or whatever with that recording, that demo we did with Adam D. We sent it to a lot of labels, including Good Life,
Hmm.
and they gave us a call. Back then, they just called my home phone of my apartment,
Oh.
and I remember Edward leaving a message and just saying, "I've heard your demo and I love it and I want to sign you guys." So like, wow, this is great. So so we signed a Good Life
Hmm.
and recorded the album. I think in 2001, I believe.
Hmm.
And then basically, to be honest with you, we weren't completely happy with the way the recording came out because we were
Hmm.
supposed to go back to Zing and something happened and we ended up going to a different studio
I
that
get it.
wasn't
Yeah.
really, they weren't as much of a metal kind of recording
Oh,
studio.
yeah. That makes a huge difference. Yeah.
Yeah, so it made a little bit different, a bit of a difference. So we weren't like super thrilled on the recording. And then I guess we'd been doing it for maybe 2 or 3 years at that point. So Mark and Slim kind of started a side project that became Bury Your Dead.
Hmm.
So I remember them, like, we'd practice for Hamartia, then we'd go and take a break, and they started jamming some of the songs that would become Bury Your Dead.
Nice.
And then kind of shortly after, around that time frame, me and my brother started jamming a side project called With Honor that would become With Honor.
Hmm.
So the band kind of split off, you know, into
Yeah.
different directions after that. So the CD that we had, the full length, actually didn't come out. I think Edward from Good Life didn't release that till, I want to say, I actually, to be honest, I did look it up because I didn't remember this. It's funny because it's so long ago. We're piecing things together as we talk as a band. Like, what did
Hmm.
we do again? Like, what happened? How did this come about? And it looks like it was released on February 25th, 2003.
All right.
And we played our last show back then in April 2002.
Okay.
So the album came out after we were broken up.
Hmm.
So the reception to it, I'm not really that sure. Like I think people picked it up and they liked it, I guess.
I mean, yeah,
But yeah, we were
I
broken
suppose
up
that
at the time.
we got it in Europe. Like I think these friends of mine, I remember because I was born in 1986, so
Okay.
I was a, yeah, very teenager in the hand of 90s, early 2000s. So I still have this
Yeah.
idea of having this catalog with all the CDs or VHS, still VHS that you
Mm.
could order. And I think that there was this kind of fanzine for metal and punk, and there was of course US CDs, and I think these friends of mine just ordered some bands by heart. They were
Okay.
just curious about, well, what could it be, and this is how I get it got into that. But I own to this friend, shout out to Domiziano, because he also introduced me to straight edge at that time, and but,
Hmm.
when I never been into alcohol or drugs, but I remember when when a friend of you bring you some good music and start talking, preaching
Yeah.
about that, it had like a huge impact because I still had still nowadays. And but this just to say, how just memories, just how the way things works. You said also you were there wasn't that, it was just real phone calls, I would say. No instant message or no less email or not at all. And I remember even going to concert in Switzerland. We just organize, okay, the concert is on Saturday evening, so we drive from the south to the north, and it's not a long. Switzerland is small. I think it will fit in many of your or the states of United
Mm.
States. But just organize people, through cars, and then you go through the hubs, and then you arrive in the big city like Zurich, and you have the concert. There is American bands, there are European bands, and then the guys from the Swiss, the French part of the country also take him. So concert were like the moment where you could met all your friends and people that were into this kind of music, coming
Mm.
from the same country. So there was this kind of ritual, and nowadays are still memories, but they're very, very cool memories because even without the socials, without instant messages, we could really keep contact and sharing our passion. And
Mm.
there is so many things that now I come back to memories, but I want to ask you, but with the band With Honor, you have been under Victory Records. That's right.
Hmm.
Because I remember
Yeah. Yep.
buying one of the album and just discovering that the CD has also, if you put it on the computer, you could see, or on like on it was also DVD, so you can also see some videos, promotional videos. And I remember discovering like trumpets
Mm.
that through that video, and then of course going to the band. And by the way, I really appreciate the last album you released, I guess 2 years ago now, or
Oh yeah. Yep. Boundless. Yeah. I think it's 2023. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was even that was a very very nice surprise because I don't want sound melancholic or kind of this kind of people that want all just the all good things, but it just was
Yeah.
really for me was still like refreshing and kind of cool to see that yeah, band just that maybe just stop producing music or like this, they decided to produce once again something and show, oh, we still have ideas. It wasn't just a phase. And and now I'm curious to see. I saw a couple of videos and photos on Instagram about your last lives, and I don't know. I would like to be there because I guess I
Mm.
could feeling the energy. How did you what's the feeling being on stage and see the audience listen to maybe even for the first time your music?
Yeah. For Hamartia, obviously you're talking, right?
Yeah, now
Yeah.
Mars. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it was amazing. I mean, we got to play Hellfest or Hellfira Fest, July 5th, I believe it was. And then we just played August 2nd, Connecticut, which was just a couple days ago.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, like you said, I mean, we hadn't played a show since December 2002 was our last, and that was kind of a reunion type of show that Hamartia did. So our last show, when we were active back then was in April 2002.
Hmm.
And at the time we did have kind of a second lineup. When Mark and Slim B left to do Bury Your Dead, we had John Ross come in on bass, who later went on to be the drummer of With Honor. Again, this gets confusing, but yeah, he's in With Honor and Ambitions. But and we had a guy from Connecticut, Chris Sanzone, who's a great drummer from Connecticut that we knew. So he stepped in to play drums. So we played a couple shows under that lineup, and then kind of disbanded, and then did like a reunion December 2002. So I guess my point is, it had been 23 years since we'd been on stage together.
Hmm.
And it was phenomenal. I mean, it was emotional to be
Of
honest.
course.
Yeah, because it was just really cool to not only playing those songs, but seeing people, at Hellfest, I worked the merch table, and, a couple of us did too. And just seeing people come up, and it was kind of like you had older people that knew us from back when we used to play the Northeast a lot,
Hmm.
like, oh, I remember seeing you guys in Maine and, or whatever, or New Hampshire at the Safe and Sound, these different venues that you have memories of. Or the Hanover House in Connecticut was a big one that we used to play all the time. And so there's people coming up saying that. And then there was, younger people that, I remember some were like, you guys are my favorite band. And I'm looking at them like, man, they can't be more than in their early 20s. So I don't even think they were born when we were playing, So it was just really cool. It was
Hmm.
surreal to see that. And it was emotional and just really cool. And, just hearing everybody's memories. And then I had, and Vin too, we had some, like old CDs, like this America's Hardcore was the first Good Life release that we
Hmm.
did. And that was the Adam D Killswitch demo that Edward from Good Life put out on like this compilation. So that actually was our first, I believe this may have come out when we were still, yeah, this came out, I think, in 2001. So I think we were still playing live when this came out, but
Hmm.
we were disbanded by the time the full length came out. So we had a lot of copies I had in my basement, and I still have shrink wrapped of that album. And then I had some stickers that were like OG original stickers from back then,
Back
from our
then,
first or only tour. So I was telling people like, hey, these stickers are like 25 years old. So they're like, oh my God, I got to get a bunch of these, and it was just cool seeing excitement for a band that I never thought we would play again.
yeah. Hmm.
Um, so it kind of came about. I'm kind of on a tangent here a little bit, but it came about because the singer of a band called Balmora now, his name is Senti, and I think him and some other people, and an old friend of ours, Dave Hutchinson, who was a fan of the band, but I don't believe had seen us back then,
Hmm.
um, had been kind of asking us for maybe the last year and a half, uh, to come back together to do a reunion because there's kind of been a resurgence of this metalcore sound, like the
Yeah.
metal hardcore sound, that I never expected. It's kind of come back in and gotten really big. So they had kind of dug up, well, I think Senti from Balmore, maybe some other people had dug up our old band, Hamartia, and had not seen us, and we're like, hey, you guys got to do a reunion. And we're like, I don't know, we've got a lot of other bands, we've got families and lives and things.
Of course. Yeah.
So we were originally supposed to do a fest about a year ago, and it just didn't fall into place. And then this year, we got offered Hellfest, Hellfira Fest,
Hmm.
which Senti and Josh from Trustkill Records put on, and they offered us the slot. And so we reached out to Vin, who I hadn't spoken to him in a long time, like many years. And Mark, we'd kind of seen over the years a little bit. Slim B, I hadn't seen in a lot of years. So Slim B basically, he's got a lot of, a busy life right now. So he said, I'm not able to do the reunion, but basically I give you the blessing, go ahead and do it.
Hmm.
So we recruited John, from With Honor, who had played back in the day with us. So it was the natural, oh, we'll get John because he was in the band back in the day, in 2002. So John came in for bass. And then Mark, reached out to him. He randomly ended up moving. He lives the next town over from me now.
Okay.
so
Okay.
so
So
we'd seen him at Furnace Fest. Barrier Dead played that, With Honor played that. So we'd seen him there and seen him, through the years, whatever. So everything just kind of fell into place, and Vin was, agreed. Hey, I'll do it. He's in another band that's been playing for years called No Honor Among Thieves. So
mhm,
he's
I know
been
the
playing
name,
guitar.
but yeah.
He's been playing guitar for that in the meantime. So we all kind of just got together and we jammed for the first time. I'd say probably maybe in April or something, April or May of this year,
Hmm.
for the first time in 23 years. So when we hit the first chords, we came in with In the Arms of, that song. And it was just like, it was emotional, man. I'll be honest, looking over and seeing Vince singing and seeing Mark playing. And, me and my brother and John have been playing in other bands since, but just all kind of coming together and playing that. It was emotional. It was just really, really awesome. Like the
Yeah.
vibes, this, coming back, the vibes for us as a band, because you never know how that's going to go. I
Of
mean,
course.
some
Yeah.
people you haven't seen in a while, or you just haven't played with in a long, long time. And to me, the vibes have just been amazing. Like it's just, it feels right. It feels right. so,
Yeah.
so being, yeah, yeah.
I really love this point about, of course, being emotional about the fact that realizing, about that after 23 years, it's still there, and then you
Mm-hmm.
had this energy still. Right. One point that came out in many episodes of Music for Vishanti is that sometimes growing up seems that people really kind of put aside listen to
Mm-hmm.
this kind of music or playing an instrument, kind of estimating the things, the whole doing hard or enjoying hard is very important in our lives, and we can see. I have the first. I'm the first person who maybe nowadays waste time doom scrolling. Don't get me wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that even for myself, when I have the time to grab my guitar and playing, even just for myself, it's just this kind of relaxing sense, or I'm doing some calligraphy just to relax and slow down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the expectation is just to have fun or just to find this balance. And then you have these friends that, yeah, with them, with whom you can share these experiences. And of course, musicians listen to this episode will understand better. But when you do something like this, music, this is not just playing the right notes, it's really being there on stage or on the rehearsal room all together
Mm-hmm.
is that feeling. And that's interesting because nowadays there is a lot of very talented musicians with the many good ideas, but it seems that thanks to the technology that how you occur to perfection, your style, your sound, but there is a lot of one man shows. And I won't say this with as a critic, it's just one people doing everything and but I also grew up playing the garage with a friend, and it
Mm-hmm.
was really not just a musical experience, it was also a human experience. And I think there is,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, one or two generations nowadays that are missing that. And thankfully, slowly it's coming back. But with the music is, I think it's so important. I got my, and then where I grew up, there was the different scenes. And I remember going out on a Friday or on a Saturday, and near in the middle of the city, a small town, Locarno, where I grew up, is a small town, and there was
Hmm.
like my friends hanging out, putting some hip hop, some just a beat, and doing freestyles, and some of them
Yeah.
they're still rhyming and doing their magic. So
Yeah.
it was. There was really human experience. So I totally get it that it can be really emotional when you say. And for me, just seeing that bands like even Poison the Well, they came back on stage, and uh, I remember, I think, yeah, you said I was a Bury Your Dad playing at Fruit Nights Fest, and I got some friends travel from Europe to there to
Mm-hmm.
see the fest. They said it was incredible, and for me, it
Mm-hmm.
was just not being melancholic, but just re-feeling this energy. You remember, I remember that song or that specific band, and to see once again live, even with the fact that they're grown up persons, and but they're still on stage, and you see there is still this passion. It's so motivational. There's a lot of videos on Instagram of people saying what you should do to make your life better, getting stronger, eating well,
Yeah.
just a lot of that. Maybe they will help for some people, but I think for me, for example, see you guys or other bands that I always admire or liked keep doing music, and and it's a lot of energy, and it's incredible. Um, but one things that I also enjoy, we were talking about whether we choose this kind of name, the aesthetics of the album itself, with the booklet and everything. I think is this kind of lithography, this kind of,
Hmm.
it is something that I really enjoy from the metalcore of that period, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's what the way the album is recorded, because you were saying, yeah, it's not supposed to be in that way, or like with
Hmm.
other producer or other studios, but the sound that this album has, really, it's for me, it's really unique.
Yeah.
I think that in the end, it has this flavor, this sound that it's very, very honest for me, because as of course
Mm-hmm.
remember that period of my life, but also
Mm-hmm.
it's very unique. Like there is an album I remember finding this band on MySpace, randomly on
Mm-hmm.
MySpace,
Oh
and
yeah.
it, Boys No Good, and I think there is member of Bane in it, but I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I remember I love the song because it's really fast melodic punk rock,
Hmm.
and very melodic, and the drum is so good recorded. The snare is so, it has this sound for the whole
Yeah.
album. and and for example, this is something that sometimes really really impress me, or like it makes the magic, and it transformed this album one of my favorite just for the way it sounds. Of course, a lot
Hmm.
of melodic stuff and everything, but that drum in that album is one of the reasons why that album is very cool to me. And the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
goes on this album, with that all this sound. I was on Monday, I was driving back from a short tour in Germany with some orchestras, and my colleagues, we were talking about music, and he's not into metal at all, but he's really curious. And
Hmm.
I was telling him, we were talking about how because here in Europe we also have a lot of I would say, in German is the word is Freie churches. I think it's kind of church that are on their own, and then they have a lot of worship bands. And here in Europe,
Oh,
it's
gotcha.
not, they're not so used to like in the States. But they have like always a lot of good backline. It's crazy. They got like the
Yeah.
best amps, the best lighting shows, and everything.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about bands like Close Your Eyes and Worship Band. And for me, English is not my mother tongue. So imagine listen to maybe for 12 years, just listen to music without really understand all the words.
Mm.
And then just again, and they said, "Oh, you should, guess you're gonna like that because it's very melodic and everything. But then when you understand the lyrics, you also feel this passion, or it doesn't
Mm.
matter if you believe or not. It's just motivating. And and this is something that, for example, for many actual band, even if I still like them or I like the sound or the energy they have, it's kind of missing for me. Like in that period where I discover Amartia, Caliban released the album A Small Boy in a Grey Heaven. And
Hmm.
Caliban for the European scene has been one of the most prolific metalcore
Oh
band
yeah. Yep.
with Evan Shelbourne. I saw them on live together. I also had the chance to meet them in a concert because I was supporting a band of friends of mine. So we went backstage together. I had the chance to talk to them in person. It was just as another human experience, very great. But
Mm.
that specific album, for example, uh, got all samples from the movies Romeo and Juliet with
Ah,
Leonardo DiCaprio.
okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that I think what this is one of the reason why nowadays is not. I mean, on Spotify you can find it, but this I think they can't publicize
Yeah. It's
the
the copyright, right? Yeah.
advertising
They have to
much
watch
that
out
album.
for
But
that.
for me, it's one of the
Yeah.
best because they got all this. They really inspire the whole album. Is that they construct the album on that concept, and it's the sound and the way the lyrics is all together. And I think nowadays sometimes kind of missing that. So maybe, just maybe, this is also why even younger people are fascinated of music of 20 years ago. That is not
Hmm.
kind of much time, but it's because they maybe recognize maybe that there was another folklore kind of behind that, you know?
Yeah, no, that's true. Like we're saying, there's a lot of, I mean, I guess, yeah, the internet was around, like we said, but it was very early stages. So it was a lot of word of mouth, a lot of like, I guess, like you say, kind of folklore, like stories of this happened, or at this show this happened, or it was an experience that was, was harder to capture too. I mean, I was kind of lucky because um, the group we were in, we had a VHS-C camcorder.
Hmm.
So I have a lot of old tapes of Hamartia. I've been trying to get some of them online. Like I started like a YouTube channel. I only have a few up there, but I got a converter. So, the quality is a little, with these old tapes, they're old,
Yes, yeah.
so, but, that also brings back memories too, but it was harder to get, memories like that back then. Like, you have to ask, like, like I said, we just made these demo tapes, for the show the other day. We just made 25 of them, and I had to track down like the master copy of the old 4-track recording, or ask people for the demos and the case and everything. So it's harder to get that stuff, which is, it just makes it kind of nostalgic and kind of cool. Whereas now everything is very accessible.
Hmm.
Maybe there is more of a folklore, or like a legend kind of thing to it. Oh, you know what I mean? Like this more, yeah, I know what you're saying. And also the samples too. Yeah, those do kind of tie the songs together. Because, yeah, I remember listening to Caliban, and Archangel was another one that was an influence on us back then. Yeah, we
Oh,
were we were big in
Archangel,
we
amazing.
were
I
big
go,
into Archangel. Yeah,
yeah,
so
there
I
is
remember
this
having
friends
some
of.
of the windbreakers and stuff.
Oh
The
yeah, I
Archangel
don't know if you
windbreaker.
know the label Knives Out from Paris.
Yeah, that does. Yeah.
The guy is amazing. Jean Marie is doing an amazing work because he released like a limited edition from some records, and he works on the artwork. So sometimes you got a
Oh
booklet
wow.
that you can open it. There is like an extra design or hidden secrets, Easter eggs.
Yeah.
He's great, and he released also one of the album of Archangels like a couple of years ago. I also had a hoodie, but I don't wear it. That hoodie is like it's kind of oh no that has to stay there. I'm gonna wear it when I'm gonna go, retiring, but not
Yeah, I
now.
know. I know. Yep.
But I really I think there is some bands that got this iconography, they got these sounds that's gonna be there forever, for what they did or what they move. But tell me, but you were telling me about your work in your life, what
Mhm.
you do daily, and does music inspire you a lot in what you're doing, or you're keeping these
Mhm.
kind of things separated? Like,
Yeah, no, absolutely does. Yeah. So when I was a kid, I guess the two things, my two main passions, right, going back from when I was a kid, were music, of course, and then also writing. I was big into reading and writing. So I've been lucky enough for about 12 and a half years to be a full-time writer. I'm under a pen name, so it's TW Piperbrook is the
hmm.
pen name, but I write like horror and sci-fi and post-apocalyptic and stuff. And yeah, so that's my day gig now. And then, music on the side. I'm lucky enough to do that too. But yeah, music totally inspires writing for me. So
Hmm.
I've had, the band At the Gates. I'm
Yeah.
sure probably right. Yeah. Um, so one of their songs inspired a whole series for me. Like I was listening to At the Gates when I was driving, and a whole book series like idea came to my head. And it was what is it, from the album that just came out in 2018 there. They had a uh, War with Reality, right? At War
Mm-hmm.
with Reality, is it?
Yeah.
Um, and they had a song called Book of Sand, The Abomination. So on that album, I think it's track 7 or 8. So I was listening to that and just I got all these ideas, and I ended up writing a series called Sandstorm. So it's a 4 book series, and that was just inspired by At the Gates. So
Nice.
yeah, you never know where inspiration comes from, but music totally. I feel like with writing, like when I have a character in mind or something, there will be certain albums or songs that are like the backdrop to the book or the backdrop to the character's emotions and stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, so it absolutely inspires it. Yeah, that kind of art feeds this kind of art. It's all like a circle. So, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I did an interview, now it's already a couple of years ago. One of the first episodes I did was with a movie director called Tom Bocci. He's always
Mm,
been in the music scene, even the straight edge one. And I discovered him pure randomly because I was downloading movies. And I
mm,
downloaded this one, it's called Polar. And I don't know why, it just inspired me. Just like, okay, let's see what is going on. Some, no,
yeah.
no, B movies or, can do DIY horrors. Huh? And it was very well done. And then you watch it and the main character is straight edge and everything, just so I say,
Oh,
oh, cool, I like it. And
yeah.
then I followed the page on Instagram and I got in contact with him and we recorded an episode because I want to talk a little bit about cinema and music connections and
Oh,
everything.
cool.
And so this is why I think music is very interesting how he's inspired because as he said in the interview, he put a lot of small things belongs him from the scene where he grew up, where he was like and everything, like the guy being straight edge. He wasn't the main thing on his character, but it was this small thing that if you know, you know, and you
Yeah.
like appreciate that the small kind of details, and or like there is this great artist from Germany, I guess, Elia Cantor, that is making all this artwork for bands like Hatebreed. I guess he did
Mm.
Slayer too, or and other big metal bands. And these art cover are not just art cover. He painted those, so
Oh,
somebody.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
got really exposed the picture really in a museum, and really really so dramatic, so horror feel it, and so it's cool to see how art influence other artists, let's say, and but in different direction. And it's something that in a world we like nowadays where everybody's fearing AI and everything, yeah, many people, many artists out there are still doing their best and get inspired by the music they listen to, and that's incredible. And I think that in some ways I also personally like the that period that it's called like the new metal one. That I heard
Hmm.
a podcast once that where they were really discussing of new metal
Hmm.
was really a thing or it was just like a shit talk, like the term new metal.
Yeah.
And honestly, I have to be to me, I have no problem to say no. That was really a period, and interesting was there was really this kind of iconography or and style that belonged to that, and
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
because with all respect to bands like that are really hyped nowadays, like Turnstile, that I got an incredible energy and
Hmm.
everything, but you see even the music video, the style that they want to bring is in kind of like it's the 60s, but we are in the 2020. And
Yeah. Yeah.
but in that period, and nowadays people maybe would laugh if they watch the video clip of Keep Rolling of Limp Bizkit, but that I remember people going, baggy jeans, baggy t-shirt, and the red cap, like,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was
Yeah, a lot of those
just,
styles come back too, I mean, even at Hellfest, there was a lot of, because I remember in the metalcore era, I mean, I don't know, in the hardcore era, there was like a lot of the big clothes, right? So I remember in high school for me, there was the big pants, there was the JNCOs, the big shirts. And then there was a period of time in metalcore where it was the very tight shirts, it was the very, back then everyone wanted the smalls and the mediums, and now I'm starting to see people are wanting the more the larger sizes. I mean, I guess it depends, but in Hellfest, there was a lot of people wearing the big sizes again. So
yeah.
yeah, everything kind of cycles around and kind of mixes together in a cool way. Um, and the scene today is just really cool. Like I said, it's I think it's different now, kind of during COVID and after COVID, it was just kind of a big spark for things,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Because you had people just, obviously trapped inside, whatever, rediscovering both nostalgia, the things that they really missed, the human connections, like you're saying. And a lot of bands, I think, were born out of COVID. And then you've got just hardcore as a scene. I've seen other people talk about it in interviews and stuff and podcasts, but hardcore was kind of a younger thing back in the 80s and 90s. Obviously, it was obviously way newer, right? And then now you've got people that have been into it that are older, I guess, such as myself, or even older people. They get their kids into it, right? So
Hmm.
you've got like at Hellfest or even the show the other day, you've got people in the audience that are 21, and then you've got people that are 45 or 50 or whatever. So you've got just a bigger audience, and everybody's excited. And some people have seen you before, some people have never seen you, and just the energy of all that combined just makes just a really cool scene we've got now.
Hmm.
Like a lot of young exciting bands doing cool stuff, and then a lot of people returning to what they loved. So yeah, we're in a cool time right now, I think. So
Yeah, that's definitely. I when I was student at the university, I organized a lot of concert here at the border with Basel is sitting at the border with Germany and France. So
mm,
it's like a special point here for the country. And there
yeah.
was like a squat place, and we had the chance. Shout out to Chris Melin of Tersicore Booking. That was our booking, and now
Hmm.
he's keeping that alive, and it's amazing. But at that time, just me and him, we just or did a lot for pure fun, just remember finish my lesson at the university, go in my room, changing things, just grab two things to eat and go to that place and cooking for the bands, waiting for the bands coming in
Hmm.
for the concert.
Yeah.
And it was I noticed that kind of there's people willing to have this back, this idea of, yeah, we have a place where we can organize some metal music, and not
Hmm.
having just the organizer and promoter that want to be safe and just go, okay, we go just go indie rock or just electro synthesizer music, just and
Hmm.
create it just a scene that it's really monochromatic, and
Hmm.
and there's a lot of young people out there willing to starting to organize again. That's something that really motivates me even to go to show and support the scene, because I noticed
Hmm.
that I got some friends in the north of Italy that are really building a huge scene, where for a couple of years, just it was just still, and
Yeah.
nobody really moving beside the presence of online with some music
Hmm.
and small records, and not even demo, just really just playing and showing off the music online. And now it's coming back, and from what can see on my social media, that's my eyes on what happened on the other side of the ocean. It's like,
Hmm.
yeah, there is this, as you said, families bringing like the tradition, keeping alive that. I did very nice interviews with Kelly from Sisterhood.
Oh
And
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Awesome.
we were talking about that, because even in my podcast, I talk with many people my age. We all have slowly family and everything. So it's an important topic to relate. That there is a lot of memes saying, "Oh, going out of the most retirement." I say, I never retired. I just
Yeah,
keep
that's true.
quiet. Just like. But
Yeah.
it's positive. It's nice, and I think this is because the hardcore scene. And I noticed there is difference, of course, between Europe and US. There was things that I never really knew about that, and I discovered as we have maybe different mentalities on what's going, what is like, what is acceptance sometimes and everything. Like I have to be honest, Europe has always been very, very left side. The
Mhm.
metal belongs more to that side, or more, more where people are really, we are really looking for having more welcoming for everybody. And then got friends going on tour in the States, say, not sometimes it's not really like this, or there is other kind
Mm.
of attitude, and so see, I think that after, as you said, after all these years where we had to stay at home doing other things, and yeah, bringing all the family. I think the hardcore scene is one of these scene where it's possible, to grow up all together and then share
Hmm.
this thing, and the passion for music make people know each other. And I mean, many of my friendship, I got some friends living really literal on the other side of the world, but I had the chance to meet
Yeah.
them when they were in Europe or through social medias, and we also have the chance to have phone calls through Zoom or Skype and everything. But that's already something, the fact that you had the chance to talk to these people in
Hmm.
it's not in real life, but directly, and this has created the best connections. Like as I said,
Yeah.
many of memories of your album, and I was listening to you once again on Monday with these colleagues of mine that
Oh, nice.
is more a scholar in classical music, but he was amazed, he was interested, and I explained that, yeah, that melody, that
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
oh, it's such an hymn, like like it could be like if I will have like a Nokia phone now, I guess this would be like the melody I would have when somebody would call me, like
The
something like,
ringtone.
yeah, the
Yeah.
ringtone, but
Yeah, that's kind of what we're going for is, catchy riffs and kind of Viking medieval inspired. Like we were big fans of Amon Amarth.
mhm.
Um, Back then they were not. I mean, Amon Amarth now is huge. I just saw him
Yeah.
last year with my son, who's actually just turned 15 yesterday. So he's a
Okay.
drummer. My son's a
Birthday.
drummer. So
Birthday, yeah.
yeah, yeah, happy belated. Yeah, so we've got a birthdays within a week of each other. So I just turned a certain number, and then he turned 15 yesterday. But yeah, so back then, Amon Amarth was definitely an inspiration for us in
Hmm.
Hamartia. But they were, I mean, I remember, I think my brother and another friend saw them for like 10 or 15 people at a club. Like they came
Hmm.
over and now they're enormous. But yeah, we loved that sound of just that triumphant kind of
Yeah.
melodies that really try to inspire you and kind of catchy melodies and stuff. And, we were big into In Flames and Amon Amarth and Dark Tranquility and um, yeah, a lot of stuff like that, and and then the hardcore too, like Archangel and Caliban and all that stuff.
Yeah, but there
Boys in
was
the
this.
Well, put it in a blender, and you kind of it's kind of where we,
Yeah, but this
and then
idea of the guitar having one of doing the melody, the other doing
mhm,
like, but melody, less solos, more melody, really having this pattern like this. You recognize that was kind of okay. This is the style coming from that specific region or this band or this genre, and I think that it's good. It's good if he's coming back, because of course there is this band that's called Tetrarch. It's a really young
mhm,
musicians, and they're doing this kind of as I said once again, new metal, and they're doing some
mhm,
with but the fact is that they really using that technology that we have now too. So doing some sound. That maybe Korn did at the time more rough, and now you can redefine playing guitar with that kind of sound. And so this is interesting because they're bringing back something that was already there, but they're kind of, curve the
yeah,
corners
putting a spin on
and
it a
doing
little
this on
bit.
it, and I think this is great. I mean, you just give this connection, and people can also go interest. Oh, where did you come from? Oh, maybe what you need to, if you like that, you should go and listen to that band of 20 years ago, and suddenly, poof, the connection is made.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back in the day, I would a lot of times we'd buy a demo or a CD, and then you'd look at the thank you list, right? They'd
Mhm.
say, "Oh, special thanks to our friends," and they would list off 20 bands. You'd be like, "Oh, wow, I got to check all these out." So then you'd have almost like a homework list of all these other bands that you could just discover.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. But yeah, like you said, just people redefining things, like taking from the past, but then putting their own spin on it. It's good to see because I think like in mainstream culture, like, obviously Ozzy passed away. That was a big one for me. So we don't see a lot of big rock bands coming up now
Mhm.
to me in that kind of sense. But, you got like Turnstiles and then obviously like, Knock Loose and a lot of like Hatebreed, a lot of heavier stuff. All that's thriving. But as far as like, I don't know, I guess what I'm saying is the underground scene for heavy stuff seems to be thriving right now.
Yeah.
But you don't see a lot of the mainstream, like big iconic like the Ozzies or the Kiss or all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's cool to see anybody just picking up an instrument, playing guitar, experimenting with different things, blending corn with hardcore, anything, just kind of playing music and keeping active and getting out there and doing things. It's just really cool to see. Like I said, I can see with my own kid playing drums.
Hmm.
We had a chance to record a song together, which was cool
Oh,
about a year ago.
nice.
Yeah, so we did something for a project. I'm working on like a movie project. That's a whole
Yeah,
other topic, but
nice.
working on a little short horror movie. So we did like a little 80s horror kind of song for that.
Oh.
Um, so I did guitar and vocals, and he played drums on it. We tracked it at my good buddy Greg Thomas. He plays in End, his band End, and
Hmm.
he's been in Misery Signals and Shy Eluded at points and different things. So he's right down the road from me. But yeah, so yeah, I got to play with my kid and do that. And you brought up Kelly's sisterhood's actually a good friend of ours as well. And we were
Hmm.
actually just over her house the other day because before the Hamartia show, her husband actually plays an Invocation of Nehek.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, so they did Hellfest with us, and they also did this Connecticut show with us. And we'd known Tim for a while. I don't think I'd known the other guys so much from back in the day.
Hmm.
We became fast friends through these reunions. So we're both
Hmm.
doing these reunions, and then, like you said, Kelly, her kids and stuff are coming to the shows, and so yeah, just a lot of cool stuff happening right now. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yep.
It's even the same for me because I got some friends here in Switzerland that we were playing together when we were in high school and like this, and then I did my life. I moved to the north of the country, and it seems kind of easy, but we have in between the south and the north, we have the Alps, so we have the mountains really doing this natural border,
Yeah, yeah,
and crazy things, but you see, did notice the difference in mentality and how people are in the south and how people are not.
yep.
But they keep so everybody did their own lives, and now he just text me, "Yeah, we're gonna play in the north next in September too. Let's meet at the concert." Like, but it's really cool to see that people are still doing that again once again. I think is, and as you said, you see, you maybe have the chance now to better know people that you know by name or just see once or twice, and then
Hmm.
oh yeah, and it happens to me with some friends of the scene here in Switzerland, and we connected through for different reasons, and then as you just discover, that's cool because we honestly we know each other since 12, 14 years.
Hmm.
We never really
Yeah.
talk. And now you see, yeah, we have a lot of things in common, and we can do many things, even the future or planning stuff. And like I was for a project in another city, and I asked to a friend of mine if I could sleep at his place because it was
Hmm.
more easy for me not to travel by train every day. And he
Hmm.
said, "Yeah, you can send my place. There's just my roomie is there. It's a guy. I give you his number. So if there is something, yeah." And I didn't saw him for 2 days because we didn't connect. And then the third one, we just met in the living room. We just start talking and everything. And I said, "Oh, I play also in a band." And I said, "Oh, which one?" And this band is called Drill, and it's kind of
Hmm.
beat down band from
Yep.
Zurich. And from then on, I just started. I try to support also young project, even in classical music. If there is musician need help for logistic organization or a little bit of tour
Hmm.
management, I do that even for a student prize. Just try to support the youngest scene. And even
Yeah.
that in the music. So we got in contact. Say, guys, of course, this is my job, but I don't want to talk just about money. I just want to go on with you. We do a small tour, a weekend tour. Let's go for it. Let's find a good deal
Mm.
and
Yeah.
have some fun and grow. Let's grow up together, because it's important to find the right balance. This is also something that we talk about a little bit about other musicians, or it could be classical music or modern. When you have a gig, just ask something for this and that. Don't because if not, promoter have the expectation that you arrive. Oh, you have the chance to play, and you can
Mm.
show your band off. No, you just make set things clear, but at the same time, it's really supporting the scene, and slowly, as I said, there is even more bars and restaurants that want to give the
Mm.
opportunity to have at least one evening a month where you can play, and that's amazing. I mean, because I really had the chance to um, really see really young people, really talented, and other bands. Then this is also something not to underestimate. They are on stage just to have fun, with
Mm.
not this expectation of starting to have like this huge follow up and go on that. And of course, more experience are welcoming, but um, it seems that they would just want to have fun. It's just I
Mm,
have a band, I want to have fun, and because
yeah.
sometimes it seems that if somebody starts kind of project, it has to, to be the strongest, the better, the one like social media show us, more followers,
Mm,
more
yeah.
success. But this is not the reason. And I was at this metal concert, youngest band, and one of those were really good. But you see that they're really there to have fun in that moment, and I really appreciate that for that
Yeah,
because.
yeah. I mean, for me, it's a lot of perspective too, right? Like you're saying, like, we all have lives and jobs and families, whatever. And, you know, it's just, we've got the passion for it and we're just happy to be there. Like, it's just perspective, just kind of like a gratefulness that we're even there, right? It's
Mhm.
like you asked earlier about being on stage for the first time. And it's just like, wow, this is just so cool that we're able to kind of get together and pull this off and be up here together. So
Yeah.
it's, you appreciate things a lot more. Back in the day, there was different worries, I think, when we were younger. And with honor was full time for about 3.5 years. So there's different worries because then you're worrying about, well, I've got to pay my apartment rent when I get home and I've got to work jobs in between or whatever. And now we're at a different spot where we're up there because we want to be and because we're having fun.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure how much we're going to do. We'll see, because we want it to be special and we want to, you know, kind of convey that passion and yeah, we'll see what the future holds. But for right now, we're just really enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean that was my next question. So now that you started playing again a couple of shows, um,
Mm-hmm.
there is planning to keep it going for a little bit again, or it was just say, oh no, we did all I would now say 10 shows and that's it. It was good to do that, and that's it, or is still a mystery. I don't know. Of course, things
Yeah, a
always
little a
change.
little of all of that, right? So we plan to play a couple shows. We do have one more on the books for this year that hasn't been
Hmm.
announced yet that we're really excited for. So we're trying to keep it special. I'm not sure how much we'll do
Hmm.
um, because we're all busy with different things, but we're really really enjoying our time together and playing. So we have talked. We had a lot of songs back in the day, from 99 to 2002 that we never actually recorded. So we've
Hmm.
got a lot of material that never made it to a CD
Yeah,
or a
yeah.
demo tape or Spotify or whatever. So who knows? There's a chance that we could lay down some of that material. We'll see. We'll see.
Hmm.
Little bit of a mystery now, but we do want to kind of keep it special. And
Of
yeah, like I said, we've
course.
got we've got one more show for sure this year that
Hmm.
we're playing in December. So we're excited for that.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I'm sure we'll announce that soon. But right now, we're just enjoying it. And like I said, just enjoying playing those riffs and
Oh
and
yeah,
and hanging
definitely.
out and enjoying each other's company again. It's just been amazing. So.
Hmm. Hmm. No, I think this is the best plan. This is also the same for my podcast, because
Mm.
many of the listeners gonna notice that I started like 4 years ago, and I release every 2 weeks an episode because I had the
Oh,
time
nice.
in that moment, and then I start being in the flow. It didn't was too much with my job and everything. At the time, it
Hmm.
wasn't here in where I live. I need to commute quite a lot, um, and then I just realized, you know what? I want to give it quality of that. I don't want to appear tired in the many episodes, or
Hmm.
like just to push the
Yeah.
situation. So I had like in the last 2 years, there was like a 2 3 months pause of the podcast, and then just came back with a couple of episodes and everything. Like
Hmm.
I had the chance that tomorrow I'm gonna record, the 2 episodes, almost one after the others,
Oh,
and
wow.
with two different kind of guests. And so sometimes waiting is the best solution, like and once again having this chance to talk to you about this specific band, I
Mm.
never thought. I want to be honest, one of the things that I never thought
Mm.
one day I will have the chance to talk to you and about Hamartia, because the meaning that this band has to me is so strong,
Mm.
but I never, I always, oh yeah, those guys are sadly that are not playing anymore. I don't know where they are.
Mm.
And then I did this episode with the bass player of Shayulud and Zombie Apocalypse, and I remember after the episode,
Mm.
we were keep talking a little bit, and then uh, his girlfriend joined in, and he told her, he's a big fan of this band and this band, and she also enjoyed Marcy too. And we start to,
Mm.
starting that the way talking. Oh, do you remember that band and that band? And then uh,
Yeah.
yeah, you just keep it the connection, keep it not just forget about that. I got there a pile of CDs, and but I remember still remember what I have, and when I have to looking for something, I remember that oh, I got that album, I got this, and it's
Yeah, there's memories attached to all that. Yeah. Who
but
was on the podcast? Who was on it? Which guy you were
wait,
talking to? Shiloh? Was it
oh man, I've always forget his name, but I know
was it
the is
Eric
it
Dellon?
yeah,
Or
Eric Dillon, thank you, yeah.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, great. Shout out to
It's
Eric Hey,
Yeah,
Dellon.
shout out to Eric, and I'm happy because
Yeah.
I gonna meet him soon. I guess in October, because they're
Oh
coming on
yeah.
tour with Darkest Tower
Yeah.
and Shylud, and
Yep.
we were already in contact for that, and it's gonna be fun. They're gonna play in Switzerland too, so
Oh, cool.
it's gonna
Yeah.
be
He's
like
a great
a good time.
guy. Yeah,
I
he's
love
actually in
talking.
Ambitions. He's a great friend of ours, and he actually was a big help for Hamartia. He kind of for the vinyl release that we've got coming up. He actually helped us kind of remix and remaster that, and worked with some people
Hmm.
because to play the part was never on vinyl.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was I guess the other piece I'll say just about we never had that album on record before, and we were approached by Kale at Tarnished Records,
Hmm.
who's a Connecticut guy, and he's doing a lot of cool stuff, like you said. I think you had a buddy that's doing a lot of
Yeah.
kind of re-releasing of stuff. Yeah, so
Hmm.
that type of vibe. Um, so he approached us, and it's a newer label, and he was just super passionate about, I want to put this Hamartia record on vinyl. We're like, okay, yeah, let's do it. So that kind of came at the same time as we were going to play these shows. So I think he did, I want to say 200 or 300 press, and it sold out, which was amazing to us. It's pre-ordered, so I think it's coming out in January.
Hmm.
So working with him has been great, and Dallin was a big help in kind of putting that together too. So yeah,
Yeah.
so hello to him. And then Third Impact Records did tapes to play the part, which I think I
Yeah.
showed you. It was
Oh,
like 50. I think they made 50 of them.
the tape format
Um,
is it's I don't listen to tape, but sometimes about tape for
yeah,
supporting my friends. But the
it's just
format
cool.
is still cool, and this is also
It's
something
cool
that I
looking.
also say to some of the classical ensemble I work with.
Hmm.
Don't if you record something, just put it out as vinyl, because I think
Yeah,
there's gonna be like even in that case, people will really appreciate it because there's a lot of old people with the audience that still love recording, listen to records, and
yeah,
uh, and I think that it fits good with classical music, but also for the graphic, you had the chance, you have more space to put an interesting graphics and everything,
yeah,
and I'm and then as you can see, if you printed like, oh no, 200 copies, they're gonna sold out because people gonna really, and they knew that this object is different than just buying CDs and everything. And that was interesting because while working, my colleagues maybe are in the yeah, at the entrance, and they also have the merch booth, let's say, for so with some records and everything. But and many
mm.
people are buying CDs, still buying a lot of
Oh
CDs.
yeah. I
Is
was surprised by that. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we there's something to be said for the physical copy. I think
Yeah.
that's a little of the nostalgia that's coming in with the younger generation. Is they're so used to the Spotify and everything's so accessible, and there's this fascination with not only CDs but tapes. Like I said, these had been in my basement for years. We had leftover copies, and people are just they want it. Like, hey, that's cool. Like they want the physical something to hold in their hands and to look through and kind of have that experience
Mm-hmm.
of a CD or a tape or whatever. So yeah, I never thought that we'd have these on a merch table again. Never thought that Hamartia would play those riffs again. Probably about a year and a half ago. Up until then, I never thought I'd like I joke with a buddy, I never thought I'd be doing a lot of those kind of riffs again. So it's been really, really awesome. Yeah, it's really, really cool, and I appreciate you having me on to talk about it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I guess we can close this episode here because we talk a lot of different things. Of course, all the information about the bands, about all the future plans, gonna be linked in the description of this episode on Spotify, Deezer, Apple Podcast, and of course YouTube. Um, Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for sharing me. As I said, this is not just an episode. This is the episode for me. as Shanti, but also as a podcaster. I
Yeah.
really appreciate that. And
Yeah.
we
Thank you
will
very
keep in
much.
touch, of course. I will also post a couple of links about your work as a writer, so the audience also will
Okay,
connect
cool.
also with that. I'm also curious to get through that because I still like I love books
Yeah.
and
Then I get to have an alter ego. So I do conventions. I've got my alter ego. This is from
oh,
StokerCon, which
nice,
was so
nice,
in those circles I get to go by a different name. It's my
love
pen
it.
name. So yeah, it's fun. But yeah, I
It
appreciate
also
that.
happened to me in between classical and modern music, so that's a funny thing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, thank you very much for your time, and yeah, let's go, keep rocking. That's
All
it.
right, yeah, will do. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.